And that's yet another DDG win.
All right, welcome everyone to the Dead Draw Gaming YouTube channel yet again. We are just a couple days after the Peoria Regional Championship. I'm joined here today with the winner of the seniors division in Peoria, Owen Dalgard. How we doing, Owen? How's it feel to take down the second regional of the year?
Pretty great. I didn't really think I was gonna win, and going in with like a super like rogue deck, it was really nice to get the win, and especially to top 8 with Carson as well.
Yeah, it's like and leads us into we've got our second seniors division player on Team DDG, Carson Washer, who also placed in the top 8 of the Peoria Regional Championships with a very similar deck. How are you doing, sir?
I'm feeling good. It feels good to see my deck do good and to do good.
Okay, so let's get into the deck. Y'all brought a kind of left field deck here. Hisui and Goodra, Lost Zone. I'll just let Owen, you run with it here. Why don't you explain how y'all came up with this, how you decided this is the play for Peoria, and what this deck is all about. At a high level, you can basically say this is Lost Zone Goodra, but why don't you take it from here?
Yeah, so like at first Carson presented the idea with me, so we saw the Goodra list from the Champions League. It got 9th place in like a 3,000 player event. So we saw that deck, and we've never really seen it played in the US. Like no placements at all, really, in the last like 3 months, especially like in this format. So we thought it would be really interesting because I like playing decks. I think Carson does too. That kind of have like a surprise factor. So a lot of people didn't know how to play against the deck, which added like which made the matchups feel a lot better because they didn't know what they were doing. And we tested a lot. At first, I mean, Carson was super, super confident. He like locked in on the deck like a week before. So we just played the matchups together. And besides Lost Box, everything felt super, super favored. So we were pretty confident going into the event.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and actually share the screen so we can see the deck. We've got 2-2 Goodra V Star line, and then kind of like a pretty straightforward Lost Zone package with Radiant Greninja, Comfy, Sableye, Manaphy, Cramorant. Got the one of Spirit Tomb and the one of Zamazenta from Crown Zenith. And then kind of a pretty standard items and supporter list with the 4 Colress, couple Boss, Niona, Raihan, and then all the normal Lost Zone stuff: VIP Pass, Mirage Gate, Escape Road, Switch Carts, Nest Balls, Artisans, Lost Vacuums. So why don't you just go through the list here and and Carson, if you want to jump in any time, explain how y'all came to the list that you did, and how you decided it was the best play for seniors division in Peoria.
Yeah, so I mean,
really? Yeah.
I was gonna say like we can just start off with the changes that we made to the list.
Yeah. That'd be great.
You want to start, Carson?
Yeah. So a big cut that we made was cutting a Psychic for a extra Jet, which I felt was really good because most of the times when you opened up with Jet and 2 Comfies, you pretty much would just like win the game from what we saw. So I feel like that was honestly my favorite cut.
Yeah, I really like that as well. Like one of the reasons why I liked getting rid of the Psychic was we don't really use the Psychic until really late. So we're probably going to be using Radiant Greninja to discard it or to retreat it off of a Comfy anyway. So for that, Jet is just better. And we're probably going to be super running later in that game to Mirage Gate. So like just adding the extra Jet added a lot more consistency to the deck because the deck is like not the most consistent deck right now.
Mm-hmm. What were your top 3 matchups and what were your kind of worst 3 matchups with this deck?
So I think the top matchup was Lugia. I played against 4 Lugia and I went 8-1 against Lugia. It's the deck just feels so good into Lugia. You can first you have Spiritomb to stop their Lumineon, which is huge because Lugia is pretty inconsistent without Lumineon. They can't get Professor Bernay, they can't get Professor's Research, so it's really hard for them to get the Archeops on the discard. And also you have as long as you hit with the Goodra, there's no way they can one shot your Goodra V-Star as long as they don't have the single strike Urshifu VMAX. So if you hit into like a T-Tar or Lugia V-Star, then they hit back, you can just heal it off. So you get like 3 attacks and you're going to be ahead on the prize trade.
Yeah, I think obviously the best matchup would also be Urshifu, just because they do basically nose damage to you, and like you just one Goodra just wins you the game.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rapid Strike Urshifu, he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's like the worst matchup for this?
Probably Lost Tina, just because they can Lost Impact or the V Star, the Goodra,
Direct
and they have
man.
Sableye also, and they have Cramorant. Just it's not the best.
And this seems like it's probably a pretty good matchup into Turbo Lost Zone too.
It all depends on what they play. If they play Rope Boss or Kyogre, it definitely makes it worse. But it's
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 really,
probably
really
around
close.
50. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Kyogre could be tricky, but it seems like yeah, it's been pretty split with kind of I don't know how it is in the senior division, at least in Turbo or in the Masters division, it's been split between kind of Kyogre and the Dragonite Raikou builds. I think
Yeah.
the Raikou Dragonite's a little bit more popular. So okay. And then maybe it was kind of interesting in the Masters division, the hottest deck or the most played deck in day one was actually Charizard. So I'm not sure how it's going to be going into Sacramento, but you know, how does this play against Charizard?
So honestly, me and Carson beforehand, we were pretty confident into the Charizard matchup. We felt like it was probably like a 60-40. But after, I only got to play against one. I think Carson only got to play against one as well. And after we played those matchups, honestly, it felt a lot closer. But it really depends on what they play in their deck. There's a lot of different cards that can like really change the matchup, especially Penny, because Penny can pick up their NTV, which is huge for the prize trade. So because you can't hit the NTV, it has 230 HP. So that's like a really huge card. Another one is Escape Rope. A lot of the Charizards play one Escape Rope, so they can use their Pidgeot to find the Escape Rope and do Escape Rope boss and one hit your Goodra if you've taken a couple prize cards. So I think the matchup is like, depending on what they play, it's probably like either slightly favored or 50-50. But I felt like when I played it in top four, that was the only match I played against it. I felt pretty good into it, mostly because he was breaking a lot, but that's what happens with a lot of the Charizard decks.
Also, what if they play Collapse? That can be really bad because they can get rid of their Charizard, because obviously Goodra can't one-shot it. So if you hit into Charizard, they can soft heal and get rid of the Charizard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like there's 3 or 4 different variations of Charizard right now, so it's probably very dependent on what you match up against. Okay, cool. So day one, remind me again, how many rounds do y'all play in day one?
It's 7.
It's 7 rounds. What was y'all's record at the end of day one?
I was 5-1 and he was 5-2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start off with Carson and then we'll go over to you, Owen. But just walk me through your day one matchups and how the deck felt, and how the day went for you.
Yeah, so I actually hit a lot of Lost Box decks, which is not what I wanted to see. So I hit round 1 Turbo Lost Box, round 2 Tina Lost Box, round 3 I hit Owen and we ID'd, and then round 4 I actually hit the Mirror, and round 5 I hit another Lost Turbo, and then I hit 2 Guardies.
What was your matchup against the Guardi like?
I think it's very favorable just because they have to put so much damage onto their attackers.
Mm-hmm.
And then you basically just come in with Sableye and take 2 or 3 prizes the next turn.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Carson.
Then Owen, what were your matchups like in day one?
So I actually hit 0 Lost Box. I got really, really lucky. So round 1 and 2, I hit Gardevoir, and I 2-0'd both of them. Then I hit a single strike Lugia. I 2-0'd it. Then I hit Carson and we ID'd. Round 5, I hit Fusion Mew and I 2-0'd it. Round 6 was my winning in, and I 2-1'd a single strike Lugia. And then I ID'd with an Arvinzard for top 8.
Nice. Okay. All right. And then the next day after day one, you're straight into top 8. Why don't you kind of walk me through both your top 8 matchups? And let's start with Carson again.
All right, so I played against Charizard, and game 1 I really didn't draw the best, so it kind of just rolled through me. And then game 2 I was able to set up Goodra and start attacking early, and I I think they pulled off Rope Boss, but I think it was a little bit too late. And then game 3, they just drew perfect and hit Rope Boss, perfect turn. I wasn't able to Iono or anything, so they just won.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that was in top 8.
Yeah. Also, my opponent played 2 VIP pass all 3 games, which was very good for them.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. And explain the rope boss play. So like they're escape roping you out onto the bench and they're bossing you back up, which resets the damage decrease. Is that
Yeah.
right?
So basically what they do is after you kill their first Charizard, they go down to, or we go down to 4 Yeah, we go down to 4 prizes and they attach choice belt, rope, boss, Goodra, and kill the Goodra in one shot.
Okay. All right, cool. And then Owen, what was your top 8 match against?
Okay, so my top 8 match was against Single Strike Lugia. And game 1, I'm pretty sure they went first, or it might have been me. I don't think it mattered that much because I actually prized Spiritomb.
Ooh.
So I wasn't feeling great, but I don't think they had a good start. And I was able to set up Goodra, and they made a really, really bad misplay. They used Cragalanche on my Goodra instead of using Single Strike Crush. So it did 0 damage, effectively doing nothing. So it just added another turn onto my game. So it was like impossible to lose game 1. And then game 2, I just steamrolled him. He mulliganed 3 times, and then I drew into the Spiritomb off the mulligans and started it. And then he just couldn't do anything. He fully bricked, and I just set up Goodra and beat him.
Nice. Okay. So now you're going to the top 4. What was that matchup against?
Yeah, so my top 4 was against the same Zard that Carson played against.
Mm-hmm.
And game 1, they had a really, really bad setup. And I was able to like capitalize off of that and just have a really good start with Goodra. And it took them like forever to like get Rare Candy Pidgeot, Rare Candy Zard. Like at least 3 turns, I think. So like there was no way they were winning that game. And I think they scooped really, really fast. Game 2 was really, really interesting. It was really, really close. They actually had a pretty bad start again. So game 1 and game 2, they both had to bench down Entei V to use for a Sealstone. And they don't play Penny, so they couldn't pick it back up. So that was like a really good target for my Goodra V-Star to hit into because I could Sableye it later. So I was able to take the easy prizes on like 1 Zard and an Entei, but I was unaware that he played Echoing Horn. So I had an open slot on the bench, which I could have filled up, or I could have super rotted back my Goodra V that he killed. But he was able to Echoing Horn my Goodra and boss it up. And he also played down Radiant Charizard and attached to it. So I thought I had checkmate because I didn't know he played that card. But after he did, I lost that game. So going into game 3, he started like double battle VIP pass, but he had no way to set up his Zard or Pidgey. So he had to play Lumineon V, another V down, which was an even better one because I can actually one-shot it with the Goodra V-Star. So I just had really good mapping. I was able to boss up the Lumineon, and he actually missed an attack 1 turn. So I was just way ahead that game, and I won.
Nice. Okay. So now you're about to start finals. You've won a regional before. So talk to me about your mindset going into the finals of a regional. Like, are you extremely nervous, extremely confident? I'm sure you know the matchup that you're going into. So talk to me about like that time frame between you finishing top 4 and going to the finals. What's that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited because I was honestly surprised I beat the Zard. So I was just happy I won that matchup, and I knew who I was playing against. I knew the kid. I've played against him a lot, and I knew the matchup, and it was Lugia V-Star. So I mean, I was really, really confident going in the match. I knew the player, so I mean, I was super excited to play against him as well. And I mean, even if I know if I lose in the finals, like I mean, it's usually going to be out of my control. So I was just happy to play, and like I mean, getting to the finals in any tournament is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now walk me through the matchup. How did it play out?
Yeah, I mean, so we had terrible games. They were really, really, really bad. So game 1, I go first, and I start Cramorant. I attach a water energy, and I pass. And I'm like, there's no way. I just bricked in the finals. I'm going to lose this. And he goes, he draws, he plays down Mezagoza. He uses it. He gets tails. And then he plays Capture Aroma, and he gets heads. And he still doesn't have a Lugia V. He plays Research. He gets another Aroma and rolls heads, and he misses Lugia V for the turn. So we both have like the worst starts imaginable. But so I think he played down Mew EX for sure, which is a surprise in his deck. I didn't think he played that. So it was good to know. And he also played down, I think, a Tyranitar and a single strike Yvetzel. So he had like a really bad board. He didn't really have any, like he would still have to wait a turn to set up. So it was like effectively like he did nothing because on his research too, I don't think he discarded any Archeops, or maybe it was one. So like his turn was like practically useless. So on my turn, actually, I had a really good hand for second turn. I had Chorus, and I got I think I got 2 Comfies. I definitely got a Jet Energy, so I was able to like set up, and I think I benched a Cram and roped into one of his Vs. So I was just really ahead, and I also got a Goodra down. So it was practically like I went second, but he missed Lugia V going first because I was able to get a lot more cards on Lost Zone than I would have going first normally. So I was really ahead that game, and he eventually he copied my Mew EX he copied my Guardy or my Goodra with Mew EX, and I rope bossed it and did 170 to it. And then I hit with Sableye onto it and Lugia V-Star to take 4 prizes to win me the game for that one. And then game two was pretty close. Or no, it wasn't. So game 2, I started Zamazenta, and I had no way to retreat it into Comfy, and he had a great start. He was going first. So I wasn't able to, and he also played Lumineon going first, which is the right play for Lugia because it prevents me from playing down the Spiritomb. So he Lumineon for Professor Burnett. He had Lugia V, he had a T-Tar, and I had no cards on the Lost Zone, so I just lost that game. And then game 3, I went first. I got the normal start against Lugia. I got a bunch of Comfies. I got Spiritomb. I got Goodra, and we both had like pretty decent setups, but because I was able to attack with the Goodra first, I just won the game.
Damn. Okay. And now you're a 2-time regional champion in the seniors division. How's that feel?
Feels great. I mean, my first regional I won with Duraludon VMAX, which is like it's not considered a very high skill deck. So I was happy to win again with like a pretty skillful Lost Zone deck and like a really good meta call for the tournament.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I know you tweeted out after the event, and that tweet got a lot of attention for winning with Goodra. I think I'm sure at this point it's almost at 100K impressions. So people are pretty I think kind of pumped or intrigued by the idea of this deck. We've got another regional starting in 3 days here in Sacramento. So for both of you, do you think this is a decent play going into Sacramento? And also kind of differentiate, like, for not only for seniors, but also for masters. Do you think this is a good play for a masters player to take into a Sacramento tournament that's going to be considerably larger than the tournament y'all played this in?
I think so. I think it will be a very good play still. I know if it's still a good play, I would still consider it. Even if I was going to Sacramento in seniors, when people may be teching for it, but I don't think it's worth it for people to tech for it. So I think it'll still be a very good play.
Yeah, I agree with Carson. And I also think it's pretty hard to tech for. Like, I think like the main thing that would be the tech is just playing Lost Box. But I know like, especially in the seniors division, like not a lot of people can do that. And not a lot of people are going to be good at it. But I think also in masters, I think Goodra's pretty good meta call. Like my dad played Arceus Goodra and he went 5-3-1, and Carson's dad also played the same 60 as us. And what was his record, Carson?
5-3-1.
Yeah, so like both of our dads who like aren't the best players like technically, but they still did really well. They had good matchups, and like as long as you know how to play the matchups, like the deck isn't too hard. And also, I think there was one master, he got top 128 with Goodra, and he was probably like one of the only people who played it. So, I mean, if we see a lot...
I've been seeing some Chimpao and Miraidon, which I think this deck takes a very favorable matchup into, which I think is really good for masters.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to be sure to clip that and show it to your dad next time I see him. It's on him calling out the best player. Cool. And then, again, looking ahead to Sacramento, what do y'all think, or how do you think the seniors division meta is going to kind of shake out? Do you think a ton of people are going to pick up this deck, or is it going to be a pretty consistent week over week change between Peoria and Sacramento? And sometimes when we get tournaments this close together, there's not a ton of variation, but we are sort of still in a new meta, so it could shake up a lot differently over a week. What do y'all think the change is going to be going into Sacramento?
So I think it's going to be pretty different for the seniors mostly because it's a West Coast regional, and there's a lot of really good West Coast players who haven't been to Pittsburgh and Peoria. So they're definitely going to be playing like unique decks, probably. I would say it's going to be like a very different metagame from Peoria, because a lot of people that went to Peoria are probably not going to go to Sacramento, and a lot of people who didn't go to Peoria are probably going to go to Sacramento. So we're going to see like a couple new, or I wouldn't say new, but like a couple top players who are going to be at Sacramento who weren't at Peoria. But I think, like, speaking of Goodra, I mean, I think probably more people will play it, but it won't be that many more, maybe like a couple. And I don't think a lot of people are going to tech for it.
Yeah, I really don't think it'll change that much. I know it's different West Coast and East Coast stuff, but I feel like senior players are still the same. Play Lugia, or like we saw Arctura win 3 regionals in a row and get second at the one right before that. Like, hey, there's really not much difference in seniors.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like I was going to say in that question that the West Coast meta could be considerably different. It probably will be actually for the Masters division. You know, like from Team DDG, we've got Finnegan Lynch and Hunter Butler both going to Sacramento regionals, and neither of them went to Peoria. And I think we have one other West Coast guy, maybe Andrew Gatner, who's going to be in Sacramento. So, you know, and Finnegan and Hunter are notorious for brewing out something crazy, and I think there'll be quite a few other West Coast players trying to bring something new for this tournament. So it's gonna be really interesting to see. Any changes to this list you would recommend? A 2-part question. A, for someone who maybe hasn't played Lost Zone a lot or has never played Goodra, or B, just a change to the list, like heading into a West Coast event?
I honestly don't know if I would change anything. Like, the 3 Super Rod is really good. And like, honestly, I would take a 4th if I wanted anything. Also, a 2nd Lost Vacuum would be really good to get cards in the Lost Zone earlier and just bump path. So that's what I would change. I would change anything.
I don't know what the cuts would be, but like cards I've been thinking about are like definitely another Lost Vacuum. The card felt amazing, but it was just really hard to find. And then also a card I've been thinking about a lot was Leafy Camo Poncho, because then the Zard players, if they rope, they can't boss back up your Goodra unless they get the Lost Vacuum, which is like another piece. So I think that could possibly be good, but it would be really hard to find. You'd probably have to Raihan for it or something, and I can't imagine Raihaning like while you're attacking with Goodra, so it would be a really hard card to find, but I think it could be interesting, like if there's a possible cut for that.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thank you two so much for doing a special seniors division regional champions interview here, and top 8 interview, of course, for Carson. Owen, do you have that medal you could show the?
Yeah, you want me to get it? It's back there.
Yeah, grab it so we can show the fan base here, in case no one's ever seen a new regional champion medal. They changed it last season. Previous seasons had a trophy, and now they give a little Pikachu medal. All right, here we go. Yeah, Pikachu with the regional championship logo. Badass.
I'm really happy I got this one because it says 2024, and my one from last year says 2023. So it's nice to have a new one.
You're just gonna get one from every year. This is your last years of seniors, right? So
yeah, I mean, I'm ready to win a Masters.
Yo, you will be. Trust me. Yeah. At this rate. All right, awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Owen, congratulations again. You too, Carson. Super stoked for the rest of the season. I mean, we're 2 regionals in. We already got a win under our belts. So it's going to be a amazing 2023-2024 season. And you can catch Owen out in Sacramento this weekend and pretty much every other regional for the rest of the year. And I'm sure Carson will have quite a few to go to later this year as well. So, all right. Thank you all so much. And we will, or actually real quick, do you want to shout out your Twitters or sponsors, anything like that?
Yeah, just follow me on Twitter. It's just my name at Owen Dalgard.
My Twitter is Carson Washer.
All right, cool. And these two are also going to have an article out at cutortap.com. We've got, I think, 4 articles coming out this week. One article from this pair, an article from Hunter Butler on Maridon, an article from Gabriel Smart on Charizard EX, and then an article from one of our brand new VGC players recapping his top 16 run in Peoria. So ton of content over at Cutter Tap. If you want to get subscribed to see all that good stuff, and then head over to deaddoorgaming.com, get all your Pokemon cards, sealed, singles, all that stuff you need to play in these tournaments. So all right, thank you all so much. We'll catch you next time.